At the beginning of our session, I noted that the Rhode Island Constitution gives the senior member of the House from Newport the honor and privilege of presiding over the organization of the House. With that authority, I wanted to take this opportunity to offer my own remarks. Now, I know what you're thinking, but don't worry about it. Pat Morgan has already given me instructions on how long to talk and what to say, and I thank her for that. She's back at it. Welcome back, Pat. Anyway, I would like to acknowledge our guest up in the audience, our guest, also our guest here from the executive branch, from the judicial branch, from the Senate, from the religious branch, to our family. And my address is more like a small fireside chat. You know, we wear the uniform of being dressed up most of the time, but we never get to know each other, and we spend a lot of time with each other. And I just think it's important for me to take a few minutes to make sure that we understand that we're all connected. And though we may be from different political parties, we may be from different parts of the country, we're all underneath, to some degree, the same, and that is the intent. It's not about Marvin Abney. But I would like to say hello to my 2013 freshman mates when I was a freshman, sitting where you're sitting. He's not here now, but I remember Representative Canario, who just dogged me to death about the tolls. I don't know if any of you remember the tolls that we went through, but he wouldn't let me do anything unless I agreed to vote with him on the tolls. So if you're out there, young man, you did a great job in that. But this is what happens with your classmates. Actually, the prospective speaker was a classmate of mine, and he had an office, if you remember Peter Martin, who was a representative. Like many of you, you're going to find that you don't have an office yet, but you may have a desk. But I never told him, but I'd like to thank him personally now for allowing me to put my stuff in his office when it was downstairs next to Peter's, and my hat, my coat. That's the kind of family members we have. But you have to watch out for some others, like Representative Kazarian. For some reason, someone told her that the youngest person who was elected could have a special parking place right next to the speakers. And so she asked me, she knew that for 15 minutes I would be, the shadow speaker until the new speaker was elected. And so she was asking me, can I get a parking space at that point? And I said, no, I don't think that's within my ability to have you do that. So watch out for Kazarian. She's here. She will find a way to get those things she needs from you. I don't know if you're still the young, well, you're not the youngest now, but I think you are, but that's a good thing, though. You're really good. And then the one person you really got to watch out for is Rep. McLaughlin. Now, a lot of you don't know him yet, but you will. And I remember as a freshman, I thought, who is this guy? Is he for real? Well, he was absolutely for real. But for you freshmen, Rep. McLaughlin is going to follow you whenever we can be back in the same place at the same time. He's going to follow you with a little clipboard. And that clipboard, he's going to take your name, your phone number, all kinds of things, and he's going to ask you for a donation. And what he does is he raises money every year for our soldiers, particularly our young soldiers' families who are deployed, and they need extra money to pay for light bills and all kinds of good things. But he raises money by having you give him a check, or you have to jump out of an airplane. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever come out of an airplane and fell almost 2 miles to the earth at a maximum speed of 120 miles an hour, but Rep. McLaughlin is your guy. So my best advice to all of you new ones, just avoid him. I would just simply go and write the check and let it be done. I think I've jumped the last time with him on that too, but that's more because of age than anything else. But welcome to the People's House. Since the earliest days of our statehood, Rhode Islanders have met in various places, neighborhoods, villages, cities, and towns to do important public issues. But at the end of all of those spirited discussions, and we have them, They looked for and acted on measures that will ultimately provide for the common good of its people. These few short minutes that I'm privileged to give remarks are not totally about Rep. Abney. They are about a family of legislators. Despite what you might read about yourselves in the papers, and you will read a lot about yourselves in the papers and radios and TVs, we really are a family of honorable people who try to do the work for everybody in Rhode Island. My remarks are really for my own special interest group, the same as yours, the constituents of your district and the constituents of the state. When I arrived in Rhode Island in 1996, I think it was, I came across the Newport Bridge. We were just leaving New York, where I'd been assigned and retired from. And in that, it wasn't a Plymouth Voyager. I don't even know if they make them anymore. But in that van was an African-American, me, a 100% Cape Verdean wife, 2 sons, half African-American, half Cape Verdean, and a daughter who was half African-American and half Puerto Rican. Now, this modern family consisted of a Dominican daughter-in-law and then 4 granddaughters later, with everyone combined. My family consisted of Portuguese, Cape Verdean, Dominican, Irish, and then myself. This is a typical kind of family that ends up coming to Rhode Island that over a period of time we have to work and we have to deal with. When you take the suit off of Marvin Abney, as you take your own suits off, you'll find that in your past, I grew up in Texas. I was born at home. I was not even born in a hospital, by Mrs. Jackson. I never will forget her. She was a Native American woman who went through our neighborhood and helped women have children. I understand the need for people to be in our lives like that. I lived in a 3-room house, 3 rooms, a front room, a middle room, and a kitchen. There was no amenities at all. And in fact, we had only 1 water pipe coming into our house, which meant that we had no indoor plumbing. You can guess the rest of that. The first time I socialized with white people was when I went to college. I went to all segregated schools, my entire family. My mother, who had 5 kids, wanted one thing. She wanted every single child to go to college. And she accomplished that. Every single one of her kids went to college. And she always said to us, education will take you to places that you can't go unless you have some semblance of that. And we remember that. So she had me, a brother that's an engineer, my sister who graduated from college, the first in our family, a sister who became the first African-American policewoman in Texarkana, Arkansas, and then a brother who's now a pastor. So she worked hard to make sure that we understand that very little, if anything, comes free. You have to work for it. So a lot of what we do here is create an environment where wills of people like that can grow. That's who I am. That's where I came from. That's where probably a lot of you came from. You hear people talk about busing. I was never bused to school. I walked to school because my mom said, doesn't matter how you get there, rain, shine, sleet, or snow, you walk to school. 2 miles up, 2 miles back. That, I'm sure, is something that you can remember from your own upbringing and growing. All of us wish to grow and nurture a family, and Rhode Island is no different. And we wish to support a supportive community that helps itself. It's not unusual in Rhode Island for us to argue about things, but we are very, very family-oriented. We're very independent thinkers. So I say these things to us so that you can understand when we're debating or when we're arguing bills, it's not because we dislike each other. it's because we've come from the same kind of backgrounds. Some have come from different backgrounds, but mostly the same background. And we've been formulated in those ways. So it's okay if I live in Newport, but somebody in Cumberland sees something different. But you know, when you break it down at the end of the day, we're all from the same body of water, in a sense. You know, when I was sitting where you were sitting in 2013, I'd never seen these people before in my life. But my wife's father passed away just before we had inauguration. And at the wake, I saw this gentleman and a young lady from Providence I had never seen before who showed up for that wake. And with both of these individuals, I've had lots of arguments, but they were there for me. That was Rep. Hull and Rep. Williams. I'd never seen them before, but they were there in Newport supporting me. That's the kind of support you get when you need it from this family that we're trying to put together or organize for. We have some of the best legislators in the country. I know that because but for COVID, I travel nearly every month and get involved in 2 big organizations of just legislators. And most of them couldn't put a nickel against what some of you can do. So we have an absolutely good chance of having a great year. This is going to be difficult, but I have faith in every one of you that it is going to be a successful season. And the success will be when we come to consensus on issues that are important to everyone, but it is not about each of us as an individual, but it is about us as a whole. Now, I know this sounds like it's Pollyanna, I get that, but there are some things in your life you're called to do. And I think that when you choose public life, as most of you have, you're called to look above your individual selves, and you're called to think about 1,050,000 people that you're promulgating laws for. We don't all have to think the same, and we shouldn't. But what we should do in the end is at some point when we're able to socialize, just talk to each other, and you'll find that we all came from the same earth, and it makes a big difference. I love you all. I know that we're going to have a great year. It's going to be tough, but we're going to make that challenge work, and we're going to make those challenges work together. So I appreciate the small amount of time you gave me to do a little fireside chat. There'll be some other technical things that come down the line, but you're starting out as a great group. We're going to stay that way. We're going to be on the great leadership to get where we're going, and every last one of you will be proud of the product that we put out. Thank you very much.